You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I am Steph. Yo, it's crazy that whenever I mess up my own intro, like it throws me off completely because I'm just so used to saying it the same way every time. But I am Steph, as you guys know, joined as always on an off-season Friday. Wayne, how you doing, man?
I'm good. It's another Friday. 3 weeks to the NFL draft, 20 days to go, and I'm ready to get this crack-a-lackin', baby.
I am so ready. Yeah, I'm excited for this draft. The more that we hear about, the 49ers mock drafts and hearing like Kyle Shanahan say a couple things at the owners meetings, like it's really given me, I think, a better idea of where the 49ers may or may not go early in this draft. But Wayne, we're going to talk about what the 49ers biggest needs are in this draft. And of course, we know the obvious ones, right? But I think where this show will be interesting is figuring out what are those secondary needs, right? And I want to go position by position and kind of just look at, where the 49ers are at with each group and see why they need certain positions. But before we do that, I did want to just remind you guys that we're rolling with the 49ers draft tracker, all right? And let me just get it up here on the screen. We got a lot of 30 visits. And for anyone who, watches or looks at the draft tracker, the one thing that I'm going to point out is that that there's the big tab that has all of the visits, all the interest, all in one right here. And any 30 visits are highlighted in green. I also added some color in there to, it's easy to find what the 30 visits are. But if you guys are interested in seeing only the 30 visits, that's all you want to see, there's a new tab for just that. 30 visits only. Right now, we have up to 7 on this list. So we got Mike Green out of Marshall. We got Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. We got TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. 2 that just came through this week, Kelvin Banks out of Texas and Miles Frazier out of LSU. And of course, tight ends Jalen Conyers out of Texas Tech. We already talked about Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. Did a little breakdown of him last week. So at the end of the show, we're going to be breaking down a couple more of these 30 visit players on today's show. So make sure you guys tune into that. And just another thing I want to say, because I've gotten this question quite a lot, right? Especially from people on Twitter, X, or whatnot. There's that account, 49ers Sports Talk. He breaks a lot of this stuff. And so I got a lot of questions. Steph, is this legit? I said on, I think it was like last week's show or the week before that, I was like, I'm going to try to confirm. And I'm still going to try to confirm. But I also looked at last year's draft sheet, and he did have a lot of these 30 visits that ended up being accurate. So I'm going to go with the assumption that these are accurate. I'm keeping them in here until proven otherwise. All right. So just to give you guys that heads up. But for now, we're rolling with it. Okay. So we got 7 reports so far on these 30 visits. And there's some intriguing players, Wayne.
Yeah. Very, very. Just going over that list. Several players I've definitely are interested in. Actually, I'm interested in all of those players becoming 49ers, to be honest with you. But several of them we've held with, high on our list, right? Because we got a chance to witness, I would say, maybe 4 to 5 of them at the actual Senior Bowl. So we got a chance to watch them up close and personal before we actually started breaking down film on them. And, we know what the Niners' needs are. They need just about every position. So they have 11 picks to address it. If they stand pat, they could trade down, maybe gain more picks. Who knows what the Niners are going to do in this draft? But I'm excited to talk a little bit about some of these guys, especially if they're coming in for top 30 visits, because it's not in ink that the Niners are going to draft those players that they get the top 30 visits with, but what you're going to get from them is that extra set of eyes, that extra workout, that extra, homework on a player. Because if a
Yeah.
player is available, like a Mike Green, and the Niners see fit that this guy's going to fit with their system, he will probably be drafted. Same thing with Kelvin Banks. And we're talking about first round guys, right? So
Hmm.
this is going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I'm really paying attention to these top 30 visits. I don't know if you have the percentage off the top of your head. I know you've talked about it before, but how many players are drafted to the San Francisco 49ers after top 30 visits? But I'm sure we could find that out and get that to you guys. But it's a different draft. It's a lot of different needs for the 49ers this year.
Wayne, of course I have that, right? I don't do well with percentages, so maybe you guys could do the math for me. I think it's about like, would that be 10%? Because like there's only all but 2 drafts since 2017. The 49ers have drafted at least 3 guys from their 30 visits. They've ended up being Niners. So I have that, and I have another spreadsheet that tracks that actually, which I don't. Anyone who asks, I'll send them this, but I don't have the link out there just for anyone to see. But if anyone's interested, I do have that as well. Just all the 49ers past drafts, their UDFA class, as well as their past 30 visits. And now that we have the draft sheet as well, like the last 2 years, I've been able to, link up which players have just been on the sheet in general, not necessarily visits, but any other type of interest that have ended up getting drafted. So last year, you see Malik Mustafa, Isaac Guerrero didn't get 30 visits, but they were on my sheet as players that the 49ers had interest in. You look at, the UDFA class as well. Mason Pline, Tariq Owens, they were on the sheet. So as I continue doing this and as the list grows every year is what I hope to do. We're going to be able to get more information as to who they're interested in and be able to see, okay, like there's a good chance they draft some of these guys. So yeah, Wayne, it's like at least 3 guys. So a good exercise to do once we have the final list, let's say we're a couple days before the draft, is
try to figure out which 3
it's
guys.
like, just try to guess or predict, right? I think that's fun. But yeah, to your point, there's a lot of context that goes into the 30 visits, and sometimes you're just trying to check for different things, right?
Mhm.
Like medical could be like a character thing. You just kind of want to double check on some things, right? So it's not always necessarily that like this is someone they most definitely want to draft. Sometimes it's just them doing their final due diligence on a player. So yeah, I think it's interesting. And also, the 49ers like to have most of their 30 visits come in on the same day. And usually it's like the week before the draft, usually. So we'll start to see that. And then, as I mentioned on the show before, Matt Barrows does put out his list of known 30 visits. I think it's like the week before the draft or something like that. So we'll get that. And that's where we'll be able to confirm the list that we have. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun to look at the stuff, get excited about what players the 49ers are bringing in. But Wayne, let's look at the different positions for the 49ers today, where it stands, where we think they have these needs, right? So let's start on the offensive side of things, because I think for the most part, the offense isn't hurting as bad as the defense. So let's start with the easy one, right? All right, so let's start with quarterbacks. They got Brock Purdy. They signed Mac Jones this offseason. They already had Tanner Mordecai, which, we've heard good things about him, right? We haven't seen all too much of it, but they like him. So they got these 3 guys. Do you think they're set here at quarterback, or they draft a guy or maybe bring in another UDFA?
So it's interesting, right? Because Brock Purdy is going to be the man. They brought in Mac Jones. He has some guarantees. Guarantees are kind of, I think it's like what, $7 million over the 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, of the guarantee contract, 7.5 maybe, and it's up to a lot of money. So we've seen things happen. I think the Niners potentially may draft a quarterback or look to sign an undrafted guy to bring in. And they may try to trade a guy like Mac Jones, because the contract isn't much. So there's so many ways the Niners can go with their quarterbacks room. But I would say that the quarterbacks room It's not locked, but I think it's pretty suffice. You got three guys here. You got your starter, you got your backup, you got your emergency. Do they add another one? Well, it depends on who's available. And I think there's some guys out there that will fit the 49ers, and let's see what happens and bring them in, whether they're undrafted, seventh round or whatever. I don't think they go higher than the seventh round on a quarterback.
Okay, yeah, that I think that's good context too. He's because I'm kind of on the same boat. Like I got day 3 UDFA for a quarterback. That's what I'm thinking. I've seen people link Dylan Gabriel to the 49ers, which I'm not sure where Gabriel goes, but I feel like he would go earlier than what we're saying, like
Way earlier.
seventh round, right? So
Yeah.
but to your point, it's not a huge need for the 49ers, but depending on who's there, like they
Correct.
might be tempted to just be like, hey, like we really like this guy. Like, let's just go for him. Gabriel may be one of those guys, not sure. But yeah, there's definitely some other guys late in the draft that they could get that would be equally as intriguing. So yeah, quarterback's just one of those positions that you try to bring in every year, whether it's late round, UDFA, because you need some bodies for these off-season programs. So I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, I'm saying day 3 UDFA quarterback, not a huge need for them. Now let's look at the running backs. Obviously, we have Christian McCaffrey, and right now we're under the assumption that Christian McCaffrey is 100%. In fact, it's not really much of an assumption. Like we've heard several people now, including his dad, say like he's good. He's going to be 100% for the season. So Christian McCaffrey is good there. Then Isaac Guerrero, that the 49ers, they're complimentary of him, and I think they're ready for him to have a bigger role. Patrick Taylor Jr., Israel Abanikanda. So this one's interesting, Wayne, because they traded Jordan Mason away, and you heard Kyle Shanahan's comments about this running back class, right? He was like, oh, it was hard to let go of Jordan Mason. No, it wasn't, Kyle. Like you knew that was your excuse to draft a running back. You knew you were going to get yourself one anyway. So it's not a need to me. It's not a huge need to me, Wayne, but I think we know Kyle Shanahan's probably going to get himself a running back day 2, if I had to guess.
I slightly disagree. And I get why you say it's not a huge need. I like how you put the adjective in front of it, right? Like it's not a huge need. But I do think a stable is needed, especially the way the 49ers tend to go through running backs, and just the way the health of the running backs go with the 49ers. It's definitely a need. This being a great draft for running backs, which means you can find a running back round 6. It's not like and find one that actually fits the zone system if that's what you're looking for, with good build, good size, good speed, good contact balance. So this is a draft where we're going to get a running back. The question is, we don't have a 6th round pick, so are we expending one of those 5th round picks, 4th round picks, or 3rd round picks? And I'm gonna be honest, one of those rounds we're drafting a running back. I hate to say it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Because we know, we just know at this point. Again, even if it's not the biggest need, you just know that the 49ers,
Absolutely.
Kyle Shanahan is going to get himself one. So yeah, that's my expectation. So when do you think they'll target?
I honestly, it's going to start round 3. We have 2 picks in 3, 4, and 5, so it's one of those rounds.
So day 2, yeah.
Day 2.
I think the same thing, and this is a deep draft class. There's going to be someone very talented in that range. That
I know that's the cop-out answer, but I'm sorry. If we only had 1 pick, I would signal around, but the fact that we have 2, it makes it tough, right? And so for me, depending on how they address rounds 1 and 2, they can go and don't let their running back, whoever their running back is, be there that 75th pick, because he will be with the San Francisco 49ers, whoever that is.
I agree. I think there's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3. There might be a handful of guys, just being how deep this class is, that it is on Kyle's short list of I have to have this guy. So we'll see. Let's look at tight ends now. So obviously headlined by George Kittle here, and the 49ers added the TE2, and by all accounts, like they speak very highly of Farrell and the TE2 position in this offense in general. So I think that gives us an idea that they feel like they filled a big need with Luke Farrell in this offense. But after those 2, it drops off quite a bit. You got Jake Tungus still, you got Braden Willis. Mason Pline. So I have to say, like, I do think they're going to draft, or they would like to bring in a tight end in this draft to be that third guy, someone who could. So that's where it gets interesting. What is the role of that third tight
Correct.
end, right? Because
Correct.
Farrell's going to be that blocking tight end. You already know Kittle, like, you want to free him up. Kyle Shanahan already talked about that. So what can you do with your third tight end? Well, based on who they've met with, Harold Fannin Jr., Jalen
Jalen
Conyers.
Conyers.
I think we're getting an idea of like the type of tight end that they're looking for, and they're playmakers, and they're guys you could line up pretty much anywhere. So where do you think that the 49ers draft a tight end? Because I'm thinking could be anywhere from day 2, 3, and I think it really just depends who's there.
Yeah, it's day 2 or 3 for me as well. But and it all comes down to who's available. If Harold Fannin Jr. is there, I feel like on day 2, that's a pick they may go with.
Mhm.
And it's fine, right? Because I think it's time to get away from tight end 1, tight end 2, tight end 3. I think those numbers kind of don't work with the Kyle Shanahan system. We have to start to talk about the roles of the tight ends, just like you mentioned. Let's talk H-back. Let's talk flex, your big wide receiving tight end, and let's talk inline tight end, right? And that's why the signing of Luke Farrell was huge, because he's your inline guy. He's your guy that's going to be that extension of the offensive line that can actually catch, right? Might not be the greatest route runner, don't care, but he can block and he can catch. So that's huge. Then you got your H-back role. That's George Kittle. So people think George Kittle is the inline tight end. Hell no. He's not even
You don't
built.
want him to be, at least.
No,
Yeah.
he's not even built for that. He had to be that,
Yeah.
but it's been taking the wear and tear on his body. So they get the inline guy. You put Kittle at your H-back, which is your guy you can use anywhere. You can move him around, and now you find your Jimmy Graham. Now you find your Jordan Reed. Now you find that flexible, big-ass wide receiving tight end. And remember after Senior Bowl, you had this affinity for this tight end, and I don't
Jackson Haas.
Halls,
Jackson
and there's
Haas,
another
yeah.
guy you mentioned, and I don't know if he was there. Remember Aronde Gadsden from Syracuse?
Yes.
Like I said, day 2, day 3. If you go in day 3 because your day 2 guys are gone, your Harold Fannins, your what's the kid, Terrence Ferguson's, those the Mason Taylors. These are all the guys that can play that wide receiving type of a tight end, right?
Yeah.
They can still block, but that's not going to be their main thing. You can look for a kid like Aronde Gadsden Jr., who is a big wide receiving version. He's not a big tight end. He's not going to be an inline blocking tight end, but you put him out on the field at 6'5", 230, 40 pounds, he can move. He can be somebody that can move the chains for the 49ers and run routes. So I think that is the key. What's the role of the tight end? And like you said, looking at those top 30 visits, we already know that role is an extra wide receiving body.
Yeah, and this comment from KJ is interesting too. Tight end
KJ
takes over Debo roles. It's possible because, and we'll talk more about Conyers in a bit. We already talked about Fannin. Like, he can line up anywhere, including the backfield.
I think it depends on the tight end, though.
It depends on the tight end for sure.
Not every tight end has the flexibility and versatility to play wildcat, to be a quarterback, to be a running back, wide back, whatever, or have the speed. Because when you look at Conyers, KJ Carter, Conyers and Fannin Jr., they're 4-7 guys. Debo's a 4-4 guy. So they can play some of the roles. Type. Yeah, they could play some of what Debo does. And I guess you rather trust him, but they're going to be slow in the backfield. So I don't think that's something, especially with the football speed being a lot faster than college speed. But like I said, there's some guys out there that can move for sure.
They got versatility. I just think like the 49ers looking for someone who's versatile for their third tight end based on what we're seeing so far, who they're visiting with. So that one's going to be an intriguing one and a fun one because, I wholeheartedly expect it's going to be a playmaker.
And you want them to get it right this time. They've tried. Yes. So let's not act like they haven't tried. Braden Willis is still here, and I don't see, Steph, correct me if I'm wrong, why is he not used as that flexible guy the wide receiving tight end. That's what he did in Oklahoma. You give him the ball in space, he makes people miss, and he does what Jalen Conyers does. But instead, we've had to use him as an inline tight end. We've seen him on
He's
13
not. That's
personnel,
not his
and that's
game
not his
at
game.
all. And you see it right away. Like, it's just like that does not, that doesn't work for him. And I get it. I think the 49ers also want to just see how he does, and he has to earn his reps. And,
Cut
you
the
know,
shit, Hankerson. That ain't it, dog.
he's also been a special teams guy. And even in special teams, I think he hasn't been, what they probably had hoped. So, yeah, they'll definitely bring in someone else in that tight end room. It's gonna be
That was probably
interesting.
my favorite group right there, the tight ends, because we got to get it right.
They got to get it right. This is the class to do it for sure. Let's look at wide receivers. So this one's an intriguing one as well, right? You got Brandon Ayuk, who, the reports are he can come back mid-season. And I'm just assuming, Wayne, that's best case scenario, right? Like, if that's the timeline we're hearing right now in April, that's the best case scenario. So, and that's like November we're talking, right? That's a long time to be without a wide receiver one. So you got Ricky Pearsall after that. You got Juwan Jennings. I think both of those guys are, ready to take a next step. Jennings has been doing it, right? Like, he did it last year, but I still think there's something missing from those two guys being, your top two. Demarcus Robinson, I think, can add a little bit of that separation aspect, that Brandon Ayuk aspect. I see Demarcus Robinson as a better, younger, or actually, I don't even think he's that much younger than who is the
Chris Conley.
Chris Conley. I see him as a new Chris Conley. I see him a little bit better than Conley, and so I think he'll be able to fill that role a little bit while Ayuk is out. But, like, you still need another guy, because look who you have after that. You got Cowing, you got Tariq Owens, you got Russell Gage, Trent Taylor, Isaiah Hodgins. I want to see what Cowing does, but I don't want to see him on the field that much.
I want to see what Tariq Owens does. I want to see if he can start to transcend into that X wide receiver. So again, we're talking wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. As far as numbers, okay, cool. That's depth. But let's talk about roles. Okay, I think roles are the key. Who's my X?
Yeah.
Who's my Y? Who's my Z?
Yes.
All right. Now, when I think of X is the guy that lines up outside, and that's not necessarily just a speedy guy, but it's the guy that is going to take the top off the defense, is going to be able to force that man coverage from the defenses and things like that, and is going to win most of his battles. And I feel like Juwan Jennings has been pushed into that role, but he does lack the speed.
Yeah. He's
the vertical speed. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He doesn't have the same separation.
No, and that's another word. So separation, being able to get open. So we're gonna see what Ricky Pearsall does, but again, I don't think that's his strength. I don't think separation is his strength. So we're gonna struggle here, unless we draft a wide receiver that's based on being able to create separation, getting open. I think that's key. And there's several guys in this draft that you can get day 1, day 2, and then after that, it gets a little rough. Day 3, you really got to do some digging, some crate searching to find a guy that can specifically do that, because you're also still looking for some speed. You're not looking for a 4.7 guy, so you can get a 4.5 guy that can get open. That'll be amazing. That's why I like Trey Harris from Ole Miss. I think he's going day 2, and I don't think the 49ers want to spend a high draft pick on a wide receiver that early, knowing that at some point they're going to get Brandon Ayuk back. But we're talking right now. Now, Demarcus Robinson is the separator right now. I feel like
exactly
he would be that X receiver. You could put Juwan Jennings back in the slot, and then you can use Ricky Pearsall as the Z, which is what Debo did. All right, he lined up everywhere, all over the football field, in the backfield, and then have him rotate a little bit with Jacob, and then let Jacob play the X2. Let him take the top off the D some, as well as run the jet reverse sweeps and all that type of stuff. But I'm interested to see what we get from Tariq Owens. Is that in his game to be able to create separation? I'm interested to see that. This and
The
KJ Carter.
the
Don't start because I'm with it. I'm all 100%
yeah,
on this
we
train.
like Kyle Williams out of Washington
He
State
just
in
need
this
to change his name. That's it.
house.
The good
No,
thing
as
is
long as he doesn't wear 10,
he
he's
can't
good.
wear 10 because we got Mac Jones.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So we good. But I hear what you're saying. I think the role is definitely what they're going to look for in this wide receiver room. The thing with Tariq Owens is you have to make this decision in the draft before you really know what you're getting out of Tariq
That's
Owens in
100%.
year 2. So
But that's why I draft a guy. Like this
yeah,
is all about
yeah, exactly.
competition.
You got to draft a
You
guy.
draft a guy and then you make it they compete. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? May the
Yeah,
best man
exactly.
win.
So I'm looking at day 2, 3. I agree. I think it will start to get slim pickings when you get to the third
It
round. I
does,
mean,
Steph.
day 3. There
It
are some
does.
sleepers there, but you
I
know, if
like
you're
the guy
looking for the next
we talked about
Jackson
last
Meeks,
week.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jackson Meeks.
I'm sitting here watching him after we did our show, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's an
Right?
X. He's
He's
an
an
X.
X. And a good one, a pretty good one for
Yeah.
a day 3
That's
guy.
the
So there
second
are some
Syracuse
sleepers.
player. I got 4 players from Syracuse that I actually like.
There's a couple. There's a couple
Yeah.
there. But to our greater point, when we're talking about tight ends, what we were talking about there, playmakers. So you might be able to feel like you don't need to go for a wide receiver if you get the playmaking tight end. Right? Right. So I think that's going to be an option for them as well. They're going to keep their options open.
I'm stingy. I want both,
You
man.
both them.
Yeah, I want both of them.
All right, let's keep moving here. Let's look at offensive linemen. So 49er fans will say this might be one of the 49ers' biggest needs. Let's see who they have. Trent Williams.
Pretty loaded room.
Yeah, there's a lot of bodies, a lot of guys. So there'll be a lot of competition. But, you know, you typically that's how it is for offensive linemen. You're going to have a lot of dudes. So your starters, projected starters, Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz, right? And on the other side, like you have guys who will be competing for some of those spots. Spencer Burford maybe could compete for that left guard spot. Nick Zakelj, I think, as well. Matt Hennessy, could he compete for that center spot? Kyle didn't really see it that way, but who knows what could happen in training camp. We'll see. Sebastian Gutierrez, Zach Johnson, Drake Nugent, Jalen McKenzie, Austin Pleasance, and Isaac Alcaron. There's some guys that I haven't heard of before, Wayne. And again, like it's because offensive linemen, you just need those bodies. They're camp guys. But I think they'll probably want to bring in higher end competition, and I think mostly at guard, maybe left guard.
It's the draft. We got 11 picks, and I only got 5 penciled in starters. Well, 4 of them I think would start. I listen. Trent Williams, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, Colt McKivitz are your starters. The guard is penciled. Everybody else is starting. Yeah. I don't care how much we dislike Jake Brendel, his play, whatever. He is the starting center for the San Francisco 49ers until he's not. So you got 4 guys right there. You're really looking to fill that hole at the left guard, and I'm with you. They're going to bring in a combo guy, and they might draft 2 of them. They're going to draft guys that can play guard, that might have some tackle ability, and they're going to look for the agility guys, right? Because they are trying to get back into the outside zone run. Okay, so they're looking for guys with good 20-yard shuttles, good 10-yard splits. Don't focus on the 40 time, 10-yard split, 20-yard shuttle. Those are the numbers, and 3 cone.
Yep, exactly.
Those numbers. And if you can find those guys a little later on in this draft, the Niners would get steals at that position, and they'll be able to come in and compete. I actually like this.
This is hella funny. Chad in the comments says, we'll get a guard in the 6th round no one has heard of that will sit on the bench for 4 years. I mean, that's kind of what they like to do. Like they like to
develop these guys.
They like to develop them.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have the tools.
Mm-hmm.
And then they let them marinate on the bench for a few years till they feel like that guy's ready.
So, Chad, let me ask you a question, Chad, and thank you for the comment. Think about it like this, right? Because you're 100% correct. But think about it like this. The Niners have a lot of bodies at the offensive line that are really competing technically for one spot, literally. Like, even Kyle Shanahan kind of went on and said there's no competition at the center spot, and a center that you went and got and Matt Hennessy is going to compete for a guard spot. So just let that it's so weird, right? So what I'm thinking is you continue to draft guys like that, and if those guys can beat out any of these guys, you walk away from half of these guys. Like these guys are mostly practice squad guys anyway. And as much I love Drake Nugent, he's the center. Why is he not competing for the center? Oh, I know he's undersized. Then why is he here? Like so he must mean something, and he might be a guy that's going to just work the practice squad, work with the quarterback there, just get guys prepared for the games every single week. That's what your practice squad is doing. In case there's an injury, he might get called up. But listen, I think round 5, we have 2 picks. Round 5, one of those are going to be an offensive lineman. Don't know who it is, but it's going to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah, the 49ers have a lot of picks. Fifth, they got 2 in the 5th round now.
2 fifths, 2 fourths, 2 thirds. No sixth. We swapped.
And they got like 2 or 3 7s, right?
3 7s. 3 7s.
Yeah, so
3 7s. 7th will be a safety for sure. I can tell you right now, we'll get a safety in the 7th round.
Okay, all right.
There's some good. If the talent
there's some
there, give me Craig Woodson. If we could get him in the 7th round,
Cowboy.
Hey, I like that Cowboy.
All right, let's switch over to the secondary now. Let's look at the corners. You like that segue, right?
That was perfect.
We're always segueing like perfectly here.
That was perfect.
Dalmador Lenore, Renardo Green, Trey Brown, Darrell Luter Jr. And then here's where it drops off tremendously. Trey Tomlinson, Saran Neal, Trey Avery, and Chase Lucas. I get the sense, Wayne, that they want to bring in another corner. I do think, Trey Brown does give them that.
He's the 3-1 right
He's
now.
The 3 right now. Yeah, he's the 3rd. You're still waiting to see what you have in Darrell Luter Jr., but you're not holding your breath on Luter. So I do still think they get a corner.
I like Luter, though, man.
But I think they go a little later for a corner.
I like Luter.
You like
I'm not going to lie. I like the dog in him. And
he needs to be more consistent.
He needs to just be on the football field. That's one player I think that just needs reps. You know what I mean? Because when we saw him at the Senior Bowl a couple of years ago, no one threw completed passes on this kid. No one. Like, he did not give up a completed pass. And I think that's why he went in the 5th round to the Niners. But injuries were messing him up a lot. Excuse me. So I'm excited to see if he's healthy, what is he going to bring to the table? But that doesn't mean that we're not going with a cornerback in this draft, because I think there's some great talent at the cornerback spot.
There's a lot. It's
my question though, Steph, is who is Ray Brown's guy? Like, you get what I'm saying? It's gonna be a little different. Like,
new secondary coach.
Yeah, he might have a different type. So what's the kid that he coached? He plays for the Panthers. He's a corner for the Panthers.
What draft class?
I felt like it was last year.
Smith Wade? Does Smith Wade go to
Smith Wade? God dang it! Yes, from Washington, right? Yeah. Him. That might be the type. I'm just putting it out there. That might be the type.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. And I wouldn't be mad at this either. Slick68 in the comments.
Hell no.
Thank you for this super chat. He said there's a rumor that Lynch is trying to trade up to get Travis Hunter. Not sure if it's true or BS, but if that happens.
He just hit me with the, you ever see The Wire? You ever watch the show The Wire? And then the politician on The Wire, he used to be like, she.
Yes. Yeah. She. All right. Well, I haven't heard this rumor. I don't think it's true. I mean, honestly, the 49ers can stand pat and get a good corner, and that's why we're seeing Jahdae Barron, mock to the 49ers quite a bit. But personally, I don't think the 49ers go corner that high, although the name I keep hearing as of late is Darian Porter, right, out of Iowa State. And we're going to talk about him here in a bit when we get to 49K Draft Club. So tune in, keep watching here. He can go day 2. So obviously there's some interest in some of these guys. And Porter is that prototypical 49ers corner that
is he though?
Like. I think so.
Okay, you got to explain that to me though, because I feel like he's not. I feel like he's a outlier. I want him to be that. I want that to be the prototypical, but he's 6'4", 200 pounds. Like, 6'4". Let's just start there. I don't think we've had a corner that tall ever.
But they look for those like lankier dudes.
He is lanky.
He is one of those lanky dudes.
And he's fast.
He's fast. Yeah, I mean, and I think he's more of a zone guy, but I think
He's
he could.
all zone.
Yeah, I think he'd be good in press as well. Because I don't want to spoil my notes on him for later.
Good point. Because I think that's where he would dominate.
I could see why the 49ers like him though.
Yeah,
I could see why they would like him.
I just wish we had a Richard Sherman.
And doesn't everyone?
Coaching. Not a shot at Ray Brown, but to coach press. That's what I meant. I wish we had a Richard Sherman.
You want Sherman to coach, yeah.
Just coach the press man, because he played press man better than a lot of corners in this game until he lost some of that speed and he started to play a little bit off ball. Oh, Richard Sherman was amazing. And that was mainly, we saw that in the Seattle days, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't get much of that as a 49er.
I mean, he's one of one.
Good point.
I agree, but like if they do more zone, which, you know,
I'm hoping we switch up a little bit. I am.
Well, that's solid thing, right?
Right. But you got to find that guy that you can count on to cover a side.
I mean, I think Bernardo Green is good in press. Like that's mostly
amazing in press
at FSU.
But he wasn't a solid pick. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see. Like
we'll see. But I do want to say this. If Will Johnson is at pick 43 and we draft Darian Porter over Will Johnson,
why would he be there at 43?
I'm just the medicals, the just him not testing, people might not want to take a chance on him.
So he does have his own pro day, I think.
He does. He has his own private
coming
workout.
Up on the 14th, so in 10 days.
Yep. It was supposed to be April 5th. Damn, it got pushed back again?
Uh-oh.
See what I'm saying?
You gotta watch out for these injuries, man. No, I'm with you. I'm not taking.
I'm just saying, if he's there
injured
at
player
43 and we're looking to go corner.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a steal, right?
That would be a steal.
Just can't imagine another
That's all
team
I was saying.
would make that move before the Niners. But hey, the 49ers have enough picks. If they want to get aggressive, they absolutely can. But you were talking about safeties earlier, and let's look at this room.
Now here, Steph, we got to type.
We got it. Oh, most definitely. But all right, let's go over these names, right? Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown, Richie Grant, Jason Pinnock. Richie Grant,
all hard
Pinnock,
hitters.
Guys they brought in as free agents. Quindell Johnson, Jalen Mahoney, and George Odom. So, yes, they absolutely have a type. Hard hitters, but I think like Mustafa Brown, to me, their skill sets are a little redundant. So, like, to me, one of those guys is going to start, and based on last season, that guy's going to be Mustafa. I still would like to see another safety with a different type of skill set, with a more of a ball hawking skill set on this 49ers defense.
The word has been spoken. I've been screaming for this for the past 5 years. Like, where's the ball? Every year we get to the draft, and I'm like, get this kid. Last year I was screaming for Kalen Bullock from USC. He goes to Houston, and what does he become? Oh, I know. He's a ball hawk. It's just like
there's a lot. There's a lot in this draft, I think.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say this here. I was gonna save it for my own show. I'm gonna save it here. I'm gonna say it here. Okay, let me think. I would not be surprised if the first pick in the NFL draft is what the Niners do, and they trade back up into the first round and draft Nicky Manwari.
Oh my goodness! You know what though?
I would leave. I would break the internet. I would break my internet. I don't know how I could do that, and just be done.
You know what though? To me, that's a wild card. Huge wild card for the 49ers. I mean, in a good way. Like, it could be a pick. Like, it wouldn't shock me. I'm not buying this whole hype of the 49ers go secondary with the 11th pick. Like, corner, that's not happening.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But I see Nick Manwari as a guy that could intrigue the 49ers because, like Jahdae Barron, he does have that versatility that he's the crazy athleticism. You can line him up anywhere in your secondary. So that's like that Jimmy Ward type. And that's the thing that, you know, I think teams are going to like about Barron, but I'm just not sold on the 49ers going with a player like Barron at 11. So, to your point, maybe they get aggressive and like a player like Emin Worry that could help unlock this defense and offer that versatility. So
Just
it fills
know,
needs. It fills multiple needs.
was Robert Saleh used to coach for Seattle, right? Like he was defense. He was something with Seattle, right? Was he there during the Legion of Boom era?
I believe he was. Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Wasn't he like a linebackers coach?
That's all I needed to know, because I can tell you right now. Now, I'm gonna take this even a step further. If they did go Nick Emmanwori at 11, I would not be mad.
At 11,
because just hear me out. Because now you're bringing in. To me, he's a safety, but he's a big nickel, right? I'm looking for that. I miss that. That
Jimmy Ward, I know the Niners missed that.
Yeah, right. But I'm thinking more big nickel, because Jimmy Ward did play the nickel, but he was undersized. This kid's not. He's a physical specimen coming out of the lab. He's like the LeBron James of safeties, like literally, like he's built. But think about what they did in Seattle. Who was their big nickel? Oh, Cam Chancellor. And what did he do? Knock motherfuckers out. I would like that with Malik Mustafa. But the thing you get from Emmanwori is he could just play the deep part of the field, like in the range, because he has the speed. You don't skip a beat. He'll literally be the fastest safety the Niners have had in this regime,
which is wild to say, because they've had
their prototype guys. Steph isn't what we think it should be. That's why they've been going with the box guys that they feel can play both.
Yeah, I think both. We're on the same page that they need like more of a coverage guy, ball hawk guy. And while we do think there's a possibility that they could surprise us and go safety early, I think that's still unlikely. So I would still say day 3 for a safety, because I don't. I think there'll be good value late, like Jonas Sanker could be an option.
Yeah, I like Billy Bowman Jr.
Billy Bowman,
that's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk.
Someone like that.
5-6 interceptions. That's a ball hawk. So you're right. I mean, and even if you wanted to go later, day 3, Malachi Moore from Alabama.
He just had his pro day too.
Yeah, there's some kids. So that's why I said safety would be day 3. Remember I said one of my 7th round picks would be a safety, but I don't look at Emmanwori just as a safety. I think that's my issue. I look at him as a linebacker, safety, cornerback.
Yeah, and again, that would fit multiple needs for the 49ers. So, and that would give you the feeling that you don't have to suddenly go for a corner, because then you can have Renardo Green and Lenore playing outside exclusively, and you have your big nickel. That would give them some flexibility, I think. Intriguing. Very much intriguing. Let's look at the linebackers for the 49ers. This is another one that's interesting to me.
Biggest need. I'm sorry.
It's looking that way. So you got Fred.
I'm sorry.
Big drop off. D. Winters, Tatum Bethune, Luke Gifford, Curtis Robinson, Jalen Graham, Deshaun White. A lot of unproven guys, including D. Winters, who Kyle Shanahan was very complimentary of Winters when asked about him at owners' meetings. But I couldn't help but notice, Wayne, immediately after saying all these good things about Winters, he says, hopefully we can add some competition in the draft.
The key word was hopefully. Like, I love getting your breakdowns when you listen to the coaches talk, because I can't wait to hear how you kind of like interpret what they say. Yeah. Like,
I heard we're getting a linebacker. That's
listen, the question is who and when. I think it's more of the when, right? Because if some of these who's drop, you're like, yes. But Fred Warner needs help. And I'm sorry. I love you, Fred. You're the greatest linebacker we've had since Patrick Willis. You're the best damn linebacker in the NFL. But you cannot play Mike, Sam, and Will at the same time. He cannot. It's impossible.
I think it hurt his game last year.
He had the highest missed tackle rate.
He had to be everything.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That's a mental wear and tear, mentally and physically. They gotta find a guy that could just tackle. That's it. Find a guy
and cover.
That's another guy. They got to find them, Steph. I mean, we've let linebackers, unfortunately, we have to let them walk in free agency with Azeez Al-Shaair, and you thought you were replacing that. And I like D. Winters. I think he plays physical, but sometimes he plays over physical and he missed tackles.
Mm.
You know,
I
the
think
speed is there.
I think last year he was a victim of trying to do too much, and that is because he didn't have that guy. He didn't have Greenlaw
He was
or anyone.
overcompensating.
He was
100%.
overcompensating.
100%.
So you absolutely need someone who's. He doesn't even have to be on the same level as Warner,
No,
but
just
like
needs to play. Know how to. Just needs to know how to play fucking football. Like don't know where you need to be. That's why I like Carson Schwezinger. That's why I like those players that just know how to play linebacker. And you ain't got to teach them. They just know. They know how to find the ball. They know where to be with the ball. Don't worry about punching the ball out. That's what Fred is for.
Yeah.
Get to the guy, secure the tackle, and let Fred come and punch the ball out. We started off so good.
I like it. And, another thing, I listened to Tim K's podcast where he has Matt Barrows on. Both of those guys have been on a heater lately. All right. I just got to shout those guys out. But Barrows on that podcast said that he pretty much said he has the list of 30 visits already. And he's waiting to, put it out. He's not allowed to yet. All right. So again, like he does put out his piece closer to the draft with the 30 visits. He kind of teased that there's a lot of linebackers on that.
It should be.
There should be.
That's
what I'm saying.
They losing Dre Greenlaw.
It's huge.
It was the biggest loss. It was the biggest loss. I don't know how else to say it. It was the biggest loss. And whatever they should have, my issue with the Niners this offseason is, regardless of how Dre Greenlaw might have felt or what he wanted, they didn't do what they needed to do to try to secure him. If they got to figure that out. You'll see. We'll see. Now that doesn't mean I don't have hope in some of these other players, but we know the value of who Dre Greenlaw was just from an energy standpoint, not just from what he could do.
Yep.
That man walked off the football field injured and the team deflated. Like, just think about that. And the team's defense hasn't been right. And think about this. As bad as the run defense has been, why isn't it as bad when Dre Greenlaw's on the football field? Oh, I know, because he overcompensates too. And so you got to find a player in this draft that plays the linebacking position from a Mike perspective, but that has the ability to play the Sam or the weak side. You have to find that guy. And there's several guys that I feel like can do that.
There's several. Yeah. I think there's a lot of sleepers in this draft. The question is when, right? I still think day 2, 3 is when they go for linebacker. But I got to say, like,
I love Jahad Campbell. I wouldn't be mad if
linebacker could be the pick that surprises us. And it wouldn't even be surprising. It wouldn't even be surprising if they went linebacker on day 1.
I would be ecstatic
if they went second round, so yes, linebacker definitely is a big need for me.
This is the biggest need. I'm sorry. Then the defensive interior.
Let's get to edge, because that's they're hurting too. You still got Nick Bosa though. You got Yetur Gross-Matos. Those are your 2 projected starters on the outside right now. Then they got Sam Okoye-Nonu, Robert Beal Jr. again, like kind of unproven. He got some playing time last year, but I'm not super impressed. I got to be honest with you. Drake Jackson, who's hurt, he may never play football again. Like, that's just the way I'm reading that situation. Unfortunately, that was seeming like a bad pick. Alex Barrett, Jonathan Garvin, Taron Jackson, bodies for the offseason program. All right. So they need at least one edge, I think, in this class, Wayne. And it doesn't have to be early necessarily, but I think a sweet spot is early day 2. I think so. 40, second round.
Pick 43.
Yeah, it could
that
be.
Needs to be the edge.
Or 11.
Yeah, depending on who's available.
Early guys.
Yeah, depending on who's there.
They're doing homework on some day 1 guys.
I mean, I personally feel like this class is deeper at defensive tackle. So if you're not getting Mason Graham, then get that edge guy. Because
And there will
as
be
much
options.
as and as much as I love Alex, I mean Alex, as much as I love Abdul Carter, I feel like there's several great pass rushers in this draft. Now for the 49ers, because we run that 4-3 scheme defense, you have to find a guy that can set the edge in the run game and rush the passer.
Yes.
So you have to look for 2 and 1. And then the question is there a type? Because if there's a type and we're focusing on Nick Bosa being the prototype, oh man, we're gonna miss out because there's not too many Nick Bosas ever. He's him, Myles Garrett. They're like one of ones, right? They're even different, but they're like one of ones. And even Trey Hendrickson, he's not even built like those guys, but they're like one of ones. So the question is, who is going to be able to be that type if you're looking for the 6'4", 260-pound guy? Like, that's where it gets rough because this draft has a lot of 3-4 outside linebacking edge rushers, which why not go with the speed and power? Like, I don't get why we have to be 265, and I get it. We got to be able to take on the chips from the tight ends. What if you got guys that got really good, dangerous hands? They know how to use their hands to shed the block. Like, there's so many ways to look at it. So we need help here for sure.
For sure. And I don't think they need another Nick Bosa. You already got a Nick Bosa. So you just need someone who's going to complement him and someone, and that's going to be someone who gets to the quarterback.
Thank you. When I say it, I don't know why it's projected wrong, but the way you say exactly what I'm saying, find the complimentary guy.
Wayne, we compliment each other.
Just find a complimentary guy. Like, I'm tired of yelling it. That's the issue. We tried. And I thought he was complimentary, but they just didn't play together much last year. Yeah. And Leonard Floyd. Floyd was played. Nick Bosa got injured. Bosa comes back. Floyd's dinged up. It was just weird.
Well, they never really got in the groove together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was because the interior sucked.
That too. That too. Let's look at the defensive tackle room. Look at this.
Okay.
This is sad, Wayne. There's
I said the linebacker might be the biggest need. I might need to retract that. Okay.
This is bad. Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, Evan Anderson. I don't want any of these guys starting in any way, shape, or form.
Evan Anderson, though. I think Evan Anderson.
He'll be something, right? He'll be something.
I think,
but I don't know if I can.
But we're talking more snaps though now.
More snaps. He deserves more snaps. Absolutely.
Right, but we might get worse work over more snaps is what I'm saying. When he was limited, we got really good play.
I hear you. I hear you.
I can't stand this. We need help. Okay, guys. Send the cavalry, man. This is where the Niners need help. Okay.
They need everything here. Like
I trade up for Mason Graham. Boom. There you go. Trade up for Mason Graham and draft CJ West. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, you got to get better. Kevin Givens is that I don't know if he's better in pass rushing or run stopping, but he's undersized and he stays injured. Jordan Elliott is your run stuffer, defensive tackle, but he was banged up a lot last year, but he's your pencil starter. Yeah. Kalia Davis literally never really got going. He came into the NFL injured, and he gave us a sack, but that's it. And Evan Anderson is your bright spot. That's the one. So
you need everything.
Yeah, okay.
You need everything. Like, the other positions we're like talking about specific roles they need every role on defensive tackle. Like, that much is true. So yes, I'm still thinking day one could very well be the pick at 11 D tackle, or
I have several guys.
Yeah,
Steph, not to cut you off, I have several guys I would not mind the 49ers drafting. I don't think there's
such a deep class,
right? And I don't think there's a one guy. Because look at these 4 guys. Whoever we draft would probably be better than these 4 guys.
Yeah.
At the defensive tackle position. Let me make that clear. That's how deep the defensive tackle position is this year. So even if we went with a Jordan Phillips from Maryland, he gives me better ceiling upside than what we have. So at the end of the day, they kind of can't get that position pick wrong. The other ones they got to nail. I feel like at the tackle position, unless they take Deion Walker, then I'll be pissed. He's not it. I know he's
I'm
big.
more concerned about his injury. We talked about it, right? Like he got the chronic knee thing.
Yeah, he's big, but plays with a high ass pad level. And we did that already. I'm not drafting another player that plays on the defensive front with a high pad level. Matter of fact,
It
if
would
they
be Kinlaw 2.0.
there you
Deion
go. You
Walker.
took the
It
words right
really
out of my
would,
mouth.
which is
I'm not having it. Not on my watch. No. Not on my watch. That doesn't mean I'm not looking at a 6'6" guy, because I think Cameron Jackson from Florida plays with a lower pad level. And Steph, we witnessed it because we were watching him more than we were watching Deion Walker, because we were like, who's this other big giant?
He was making plays out there at the Senior Bowl for sure. So yeah, I think the defensive tackle position this year in this draft is pretty foolproof, but being that it's such a big need and you need impact players, I still think they go for one pretty early, and then you can get one day 3 later in the draft. That, to your point, Wayne, could be better and probably will be better than these guys on this list. Yes, it is absolutely insane. But that's where we're at. All right, let's keep it moving here, Wayne. We got a 49K draft club that features a lot of the guys that we've been hearing linked to the 49ers this week, mostly via those 30 visits. Darian Porter, one of those guys that we mentioned, he keeps getting mentioned with 49ers as well. Right now, haven't heard that he has a 30 visit with the Niners, but wanted to throw him in here too. So let's get into it, man. I mean, Jalen Conyers, this was one guy that, you know, we didn't, at least I couldn't find a lot of all 22 film on him. So this is probably the best I could get as far as, you know, some of his snaps at the Shrine Bowl. And, you know, one thing that stands out, you know, sometimes when you watch some players and you're like, I bet he played basketball at some point in his life. That's Jalen Conyers. Like, he definitely has that. And he's similar to Fannin. You can do a lot of things with him. He impressed teams at the East West Shrine Bowl, which we're seeing here with his route running, with his body control. Former quarterback in high school. So Texas Tech, as we mentioned earlier, lined him up at Wildcat a couple of times. He rushed for 22 times for 92 yards and a touchdown. 6'4", 265 pounds, 81-inch wingspan, 9.24 RES score. So he's very athletic. That showed up in his tape. That's showing up in these clips here. He's physical. We already talked about his basketball background. He's a good run blocker as well. So definitely could see why the 49ers would like him.
For sure. And we talked about...
This is a nice play from Jalen Conyers.
Oh, my bad.
We talked about the tight ends and playing that flex spot. Guys that can play the wide receiving role from a tight end perspective. They can still line up in line. They can still block. They can still do certain things. But we're looking for a guy that can help keep the gosh darn chains moving, right? All right. It doesn't have to always be 3rd and Juwan. You could bring in a tight end that you can watch win a route one-on-ones. And in some of those clips, you saw him being held and still won the route and still caught the pass. So the strength is there. The footwork is there. I think that's what's most important. I mean, he's not a speedy guy. It doesn't have to be a speedy guy. He has really solid hands. But I don't think any of these tight ends are super speedy. Like, you know, you're not going to get, they didn't have any that ran 4.4. Like,
none
like
of that Kittle speed.
No. But you got some good size tight ends. He's a good size tight end. I think he would be a good fit for the 49ers, to be honest.
Yeah, when we're talking about playmaking ability, he definitely has that. We're seeing a type, I think, for the 49ers in tight ends right now. Let's get to the next one. We got Landon Jackson, edge rusher out of Arkansas. So I think this one has audio as well.
Let's take a look at Landon.
Yeah, we got my man Baldy out here, Baldy breakdown. But, you know, the thing I like about Landon Jackson, when we talk about complimentary edge rushers, guys who would be complimentary to Bosa, I think Landon Jackson would be that dude. He could get to the quarterback fast. He's 6'7", 280 pounds, so he has really impressive size, but he moves well for his size. One thing you see a lot with him is that cross chop. He uses his hands really well, and I think he has an excellent motor. I think he'd fit in pretty good. And one of the clips I'm going to show after this one is, I believe it was at the Senior Bowl. He was lining up more at the wide 9, and that could be a good look for him, I think, and a good fit for his skill set.
It could be. My only issues with him is his athleticism. Sometimes he is a little stiff. If he's not winning with that chop, does he have other pass rush moves, the
Yeah.
spin, these other things that he's going to be able to, he's going to need against these fierce tackles in the NFL, right? But the thing that makes him stand out, first, is his size, right? I mean, he's 6'7". 6'6", 6'7". So you're getting a monster out on the edge, right? Not a fast guy, didn't run really fast in the 40, but the athleticism as far as his ability to jump, all that stuff is pretty daggone good. He has a crazy wingspan, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
saw
worried
that
about
arm
him.
length right there?
Yeah, I'm not worried about him missing tackles, Steph. Like that's one thing I'm not worried about. And that's what we're talking about. He's really good in setting the edge as far as a run defender. He can get to the quarterback if he's told to get to the quarterback. He's like that guy, if you say sick him, he gets the quarterback. Go get him. Okay. Boom. He's getting to the quarterback. Like, doesn't matter how he wins the rep, he's getting to the quarterback. I would like to see him in, like, with chips and stuff like that. Like, how does he shed these blocks and things like that? I would like to see more of that. But as far as that, him playing in a wide nine, it'll be a good fit for him. And that's what we play out here
Exactly.
in San Francisco. So, like, wouldn't be surprised. I don't know about picking him at 11, but
No.
if he's there in round 2 at 43, or if you have to move up a little bit to get him, I wouldn't be mad.
I think that would definitely be it for Landon Jackson, because right now I think he's projected to be a late first guy. So obviously there'd have to be something the 49ers, they'd have to make an effort to get him. Let's just put it at that.
Correct.
All right, next guy here, Mike Green. And man, I think it's obvious why he would be a good fit for the 49ers in terms of what they should be looking for in an edge rusher. Just a guy who gets to the quarterback fast. He is a beast, Wayne. Like, I love Mike Green. High effort player. He can convert speed to power. He can get himself out of a bind from linemen. And I like how he plays the run game as well. Like, he'll look to collapse the pile from the edge on those inside runs. So, like, even if he's on the edge, he will try to make an impact in the run game. And we're seeing here he's gotten a couple of tackles for loss. And yeah, like, he just gets to the quarterback quickly. I just think, look at that. Like, he's on go.
If you want TJ Watt 2.0, he's the guy. And if you feel like you're going to pass up on him because he has small arm length and stuff like that, then you're stupid. Like, and I can understand if the Niners didn't want to take a shot at him because of the red flags. But if he clears the red flag terminal, if he's clearing all that stuff, I think this is why he has a top 30 visit.
I think so too.
that sit down interview, how he interacts, interprets, he's going to be questioned. And I mean hard questioned, right? Like, depending on how he's responsive, he responses to the 49ers. At 11, I'm picking Mike Green. I have no problems with Mike Green being picked at 11. And if the Niners do choose him at 11, that means they did their due diligence, and that's why there's a top 30 visit going down. But as far as him being able to get to the passer, you don't have to worry about that. As far as him being able to defend the run, you don't have to worry about that. His only downgrade is the fact that he is a little undersized, but he stands up a lot. I don't know if he can still convert that same power to speed lined up on the 4-3. Does he fit the 3-4 better than the 4-3? And I think that is the only question mark that I have on Mike Green. But I'm drafting him. If I was in charge, he's my pick.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It all very much hinges on that off field. I agree. If the 49ers do get him at 11, it's because they feel that's a nothing burger, right?
I like that.
Because we know the 49ers do take things like that seriously.
Yes, they do. Yes,
so he would be off their board if they do feel, in fact, that is legit.
I'm on.
That's why I think the visit is due diligence for sure.
You get him and Nick, them other players in the middle will be better. I like, they have one-on-ones all day.
Man. Yes, I agree. Like, if I wouldn't be mad if the 49ers pick him again, because it would just mean like they feel confident that off field is nothing to be worried about. Okay, the dude could play. He'd probably even be he could be a top 10 pick. Wayne,
I think the only reason why he's not better than Abdul Carter? Two things. One, the bend, and two, the school, the competition.
But we saw him at the Senior Bowl.
Right,
Hey.
right. That's a good point, right? Like, right, yeah. He dominated. Yeah, for sure. He dominated for 2 days and disappeared. Yeah.
Disappeared. Yeah, he was done. He was like,
done.
my work here is done. Yeah, he's pretty much penned himself in or sharpied himself in as a top 10 pick. And if he falls out of the top 10, he could be the 49ers pick at 11. Let's look at our wild card here for today. Again, not a 30 visit for the 49ers that we know of yet, but Darian Porter, cornerback that is linked to the 49ers quite a bit. So what I saw from Darian Porter, like he's a pure outside guy, which, for me would beg the question, okay, how do the 49ers see their cornerback room fitting in with another outside guy? Like, are you having Lenore kick inside full time?
Yes. Yes.
Or do you move Renardo Green inside? Because, I kind of feel like you just gave Lenore an extension, and I don't think you gave Lenore an extension to just be a nickel guy. So that would be my question. Like,
but it's versatility though, right?
Yeah.
Like you have that versatility and you have the options is what I'm saying. I wouldn't even be mad if they use Porter. Now, I want everybody to know that, this was his only year of playing cornerback. He was a converted wide receiver into cornerback. So you don't have a lot of reps on Darian Porter. That's why he's raw, right? Because he doesn't even have 1,000 snaps logged in as a corner. Okay, so that's why he's raw. I just want to put that out there. Man, this kid can play safety too.
He's listed at.
Can you imagine him playing 6'4", playing safety across the middle of the field? Like I wouldn't be mad if they tried to convert him. Clearly, he's moldable, and he has the speed. And if he's really good in zone coverage and man coverage, and he only has to play a certain part of the field, you're not beating him deep.
You know what? That's interesting, Wayne, because when I watched him, I'm like, man, like you can trust this guy on an island. And often he was as that corner. Like
lowest completion
he's not getting
percentage,
safety
Steph.
help. Like, look at him right here.
He has the lowest completion percentage allowed. Like, they're not completing passes on him, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
His first year.
That's nuts. That's nuts. A lot of potential. And you see here this stat that is accompanying this tweet. He was targeted 7 times on go fade routes in the last 2 seasons, only allowed 1 completion. He had 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups on those. And again, he's on an island. Like a lot of these plays, he's not getting safety help, or he doesn't even need the safety help because he's doing that on his own.
I got to talk about his downsides. I feel like we wouldn't be a draft club if I didn't talk about.
Let's do it. Yeah, yeah.
Bad.
I love the bad.
He's a piss poor tackler. Okay, so in run defense, y'all, he's gonna struggle. That's why, So you can't throw on him, but in the run game,
that would be a concern.
That would be
sure, especially for this 49ers team. They need better run defense.
Good point. You
want to improve. The guys at the line, you want to improve linebacking so you don't have to depend on your corners to be those, your run stopping guys, but sometimes you do have to be that. So I didn't like that. I also saw him just get pancaked and fall way too often when, tight ends or even linemen get their hands on him on some of these run plays. So I did see that, Wayne. I think that would be the only knock on him. I think if the 49ers went the Darian Porter route, it would be with the intention of molding him, right? Still feeling like he's this ball of clay and you can improve that aspect of his game. And I think they probably could. I mean, you got Lenore, who's probably the best, run defending, one of the best run defending corners in the game right now. So yeah, I think it's intriguing for sure. I can see why the 49ers would be interested in him.
I think he'd be a solid pick. His testing says that he should be day 1, day 2.
Yeah, I think he'll be like a potential 2nd round guy.
Okay.
Day 2, second round, 3rd round. Yeah. So we'll see if the 49ers go corner that high. I think what we established, Wayne, though, is that defensive tackle, biggest need.
Yeah, they're
Linebacker,
Mhm.
and then followed by edge.
Edge.
Very close to
Yeah.
like I'd say those two might be on the same level, linebacker and edge. And then all the other positions are kind of just like who's there,
How
it's
can we
kind of
get
just
better?
what they feel they need at that point. So, but they're going to have options, and I think us discussing the specific roles that the 49ers kind of need is important too, because like
For
it's not
sure.
just needing any wide receiver, it's not just needing any corner, it's not just needing any safety. Like I do truly feel that they're going to be looking for certain characteristics from some of those secondary need players that fit needs. They're fitting roles. Yeah.
Agree. Very great job too. That's a great job.
This was a fun show. This was a fun show, Wayne,
3
as
weeks.
always.
3
We're
weeks we
getting
gotta.
so close.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Great job.
You too, Wayne. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to you guys in the live chat as well. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Not just mine, but Wayne's as well. He's always putting out some great content. Always putting out draft content as well. If you guys love that, so make sure you guys show him some love. But for now, folks, have a good rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. For now, peace.